Hello and welcome back to the Busby Way podcast. We're all got smiles on our face again this week. No, I'm lying to you. We're here to discuss this week's football. And in case you missed it, it was a Manchester derby this weekend. I'm joined with Chris as per usual. Chris, how are you?
Yeah, looking forward to this as always.
I know, but I thought, do you know what? We mentioned it before we came on air. I feel like we should not discuss the football this week. We should discuss some random topic. I think you mentioned you were getting some new shoes before we started. What shoes are you thinking about getting, Chris?
Well, I need some everyday trainer type things.
Yeah.
I'm thinking some nice Adidas.
So if you've got anything in the comments, just drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
That you think I don't know which side it is, whether it's this one or this one. But let Chris know what trainers he should get.
Yeah.
Massive help. But yes, I suppose we should talk about it, really. This is what this podcast is about. Man United, again. We had a brief week last week where we could sit and talk about a win in the league. However, not after yesterday. I mean, before we get into the derby, we'll talk about Atalanta first because I forget that happened in midweek and how dire we were in that as well, which is more joy. At least we didn't lose on the positives. Chris, what did you make of that game?
Well, that was about the only positive, wasn't it? That we didn't get beat.
Yeah.
We were awful. I think the best bit about that is the poetic irony of the fact that Eric Bailly was one of our best players that night and then gets hauled off at halftime the weekend. Just that sums up his career and United in general, really. But yeah, I mean, poor couple of soft goals. I mean, the first goal, De Gea should save, but I'm going to cut him an enormous amount of slack because I think he's been our best player. We'll touch on it in more detail shortly coming onto the City game, but he was, he spurred us a humiliation there. Ronaldo pulled us out of the fire yet again. We'd be out of the Champions League if we hadn't signed him, simple as, because he's 5 goals in 4 games. He's been the shining light in the Champions League. He's, the first goal, he takes the opportunity well when it comes to, but the second goal is different gravy, and he just he has no right scoring it. I don't think anybody in the world scores that goal because I think, again, similar to that Tottenham one, I don't think most players have the confidence to take it first hand and get the accuracy as well. So that's the positive side of things. And like you say, we didn't get beat. Keeps us actually in pole position to qualify from the group in terms of it's in our own hands. But because we dropped the points, it means that if we do actually lose to Villarreal and Atalanta beat Young Boys, that could be it. Actually, it's a strange one how the groups worked out with the recent results, but yeah, we got away with one again. I think Atalanta will be bitterly disappointed they've not got 6 points against us because I think they've blown 2. Maybe a bit harsh saying blown in midweek. I think they got outdone by a moment of magic from Ronaldo, but yeah, they should have had more goals. Remember, Zapata terrorized us for the 20 or so minutes he was on in the first game. Same again, couldn't handle him. Maguire was appalling again in that one. But yeah, I mean, he got a lot better at the weekend, didn't it? But yeah, the only positive to take from the Atalanta game is that we're not out of the competition yet. It is in our hands, but crikey, we've got to go to Villarreal and win, and it's a big carrot for them to knock us out. And yeah, it's another tough game. We've got to massively improve to get a result there. So yeah, it's backs against the wall jobs once more in the Champions League because we've not performed in a situation where we should have. We've not played one good game yet in the competition, have we? Started well against Young Boys, red card, lose the game. Villarreal should have been out of sight, but put in a spirited second half and won the game. Atalanta, awful in the first half, good in the second half, won the game. Poor against Atalanta again, bailed out by Ronaldo again. Yeah, there's major issues, and it's in all competitions now as well. So yeah.
Yeah, we keep relying on moments of individual brilliance, don't we? And that's where we keep going wrong because there's only so many times Ronaldo can save us. He scored 4 in 4 in the Champions League, or 5 in 4. It's 4 in 4, isn't it? I think.
5 in 4.
5 in
Yeah,
4.
because he got the 2 in midweek, didn't he? And then he scored in every other game.
And it's always late on. He's always scored the winner or the equaliser. And it's almost like Ronaldo's never been in the Europa League and he doesn't want to go there. And I can't blame him, to be honest with you, because I don't want us to go there either. I mean, you said about going to Villarreal and getting the win. Realistically, I think we only need, as long as we don't lose at Villarreal, touch wood, we should be fine, because Young Boys at home, you'd expect us to beat. But then again, Young Boys away, you'd have expected us to beat, and we didn't do that. So, I mean, you've just got to... I know Villarreal how they will set up against us. They will just set up like they did in the final and just sit everyone behind us, because we still haven't figured a way out to play against teams that do that to us. The 5 at the back system isn't working. It's 3 at the back, whatever it is, 5-3, whatever you want to call it. We said against Tottenham it looked good, but I think it was just because Tottenham were that bad that it did look good. I don't know what you think about that. Do you think we stick with back 5 now? Varane's out injured, and now potentially Lindelof wasn't really 100% fit at the weekend either. Do you think we stick with the 5 back going into future games?
I think the thing is, when you play a 5 back against a bigger team like we saw with City, we just sat back. We went to defend and we can't defend, so it's just no point. It's just pointless doing it. And I think Michael Owen hit the nail on the head that we
surprisingly.
I know. I mean, I was amazed when I watched this video and I was like, crikey, he's spot on here. Basically, he was saying, Klopp, as an example, when he came into Liverpool, he was playing, right, we're going 4-3-3 no matter what. We can concede 4 goals. I don't care. This is how we're playing. And he worked out where the weak links were. What we have done is gone, right, we can't defend, so we're going to put another defender in to try and help us defend. But it's not addressing the issue. The players who can't defend are still trying to defend. We're letting poor defenders off the hook by putting somebody else in to see if we can cover for them. And yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, you're spot on there, Michael, because that is exactly what we did. We've gone, right, what's the weakness here defensively? Who's the weakness? All of them. But instead of sticking with the system and changing the players, we're going, now let's change the system to protect the players. And that's the wrong approach. There's no identity if you're doing that and changing to try and fit holes. So yeah, Wan-Bissaka can't play right wing back. We saw that again. He did exactly what he did for the Liverpool game, where he steps up and leaves Foden in behind this time. I don't think a goal came of it. I think it was the one where Lindelof ends up trying to score as well. But yeah, it's just, he can't play that position. And they're just getting exposed. And Gary Neville did a great bit of analysis. The 2 City fullbacks were so high up, and it was 2v1 every time because we had nobody else out wide, because McTominay, Bruno, Fred, whoever couldn't come out. And yeah, that just ruined us. And when you were playing against 2 great fullbacks, Atalanta did something similar, where they was getting at us out wide, and then they had the big man down the middle, Zapata, causing all sorts of problems as well. So we don't have strong enough centre halves, and the fullbacks can't play wing back. I think Luke Shaw, we've seen him; he can, but last few weeks he's not been able to defend a simple cross. So yeah, there's massive issues with this system we're trying to use, mainly because it's benefiting poorer players. It's keeping them in the team when we should be like, okay, no, you're poor, get out, don't play because you're not good enough. So
definitely, I mean, it's a system where you know the advantages of it, but you also get the disadvantages with it, and you have to have the certain players to play that system. And I think Ollie's like you say, trying to put square pegs in round holes, and it ain't working, I don't think. Let's talk about the City game, because I suppose that's what we're here to do. Go on. I normally say, how did you find it? But I'm now used to saying, well, how bad was that? So, Chris, how bad was that?
Blowing torture, wasn't it? It's like I said just before we came on air, it was as bad, if not arguably worse, than the Liverpool one, because You sort of expected it not to happen again because you should learn the lessons. But the most concerning thing for me was there were certain things we did exactly the same, i.e. not able to defend a simple cross into the box, erratic moments of defending, bizarre moments of pressing from Wan-Bissaka, inability to keep the ball. And they were all magnified by the fact that there was no intensity and no willingness to run. Closing down, Bruno on the first goal doesn't come out and press. Wan-Bissaka on the second goal. I'm not being funny, but that pass across to Cancelo, Wan-Bissaka's got the pace to come and cut it out, let alone close Cancelo down. You could get a counter, and he just lazily just jogged out to him. No. Get in his face, snap him if you have to. It's a derby. There was no challenge in there where I thought, yeah, there's intensity, there's fight, there's spirit. Not one point. We had that one shot from Ronaldo, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I've seen the stat that we had more shots on target at De Gea than we did Edison, which is pathetic.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think pathetic's the word. There was no intensity, no drive, no willingness to win. I think Tyson Fury did a video saying there's no winner's mentality. But he's bang on. There isn't a winner's mentality in that squad other than the couple. Ronaldo, ball winner. I think Fernandes I would put in that category, but in the last two big games, he's not shown the energy. He was sloppy against City. And just a lot of it going around. We've said before, some players are just not good enough to play at the top level. But I also don't think the attitude is right there. We're seeing what West Ham are doing, for example. They're all buying into an idea, a philosophy, a way of playing, and they're all playing for their places. They're playing for their manager. They're playing for their badge. They've got a drive. They've got an intensity. But pound for pound, if you take stats, you take ratings on FIFA, career honours, etc., price tags, you would probably say Manchester United squad is better than West Ham. I think, that collectively on paper, bar a Declan Rice, for example, you would probably pick every single Manchester United player over the West Ham counterpart. But West Ham are third in the league and in the title race because they work hard off the ball. They have a willingness to run on and off the ball. They have belief in themselves, the team, the collective, the manager. You can't use any of those phrases for this Manchester United group. You just can't. And that's just a sorry mess. There's, I always do these podcasts and try and be positive in some way, shape, or form. I'm a positive person. I have a positive outlook on things, even football. I've been one of these that's, for example, I'm wearing my England shirt. I've always, I never miss an England game, for example. But yeah, it's a point now where I'm getting sick of the team and the lack of effort, the lack of intensity. You can tolerate getting whacked in the derby if you put a challenging bit of intensity. There's no point, could you see somebody wanting to close down, leave one on Phil Foden? I'm not saying break his legs or anything, outrageous. But just get close to him. Phil Foden may as well have played in his slippers. It was so easy for him. He's a wonderful, wonderful player. But any player, if you put pressure on them, they're going to make mistakes. City didn't make a single mistake in that game because they didn't have to put under pressure. And the only mistakes they potentially did make was because they were just like, oh, it's too easy, this. Switch off, Yeah, play me dressing gown. It's, get the pipe and slippers out because it's... I'm trying to, I'm making light of it with humour because you have to. Because you don't laugh, you'll cry because it's terrible, isn't it? It's just City. I think City massively let us off the hook again. I think Liverpool should have got 7 or 8 because they were only in third gear. City didn't get out of first gear. It was so easy for them. No Premier League game should be that easy. I think back last season when they played Cheltenham in the Cup. Cheltenham weren't nowhere near quality-wise, but they got in the faces, made them make mistakes, nearly caused a monumental upset. This is Birmingham should do in the Premier League. Close your man down. None of it. Just so bad, so bad.
Like you said, though, it was almost like a training game for City. It felt like a training game for City because I was sat there watching it and they were just didn't feel like they got out of first gear. Just felt like they knocked it about, passed it about, and thought, well, if we want to score, we can score. If, like we were saying, me and my mates were saying who went, and we were said, if that had been last game of the season, they needed 6 goal difference to win the league. They'd have got 6. They'd have got 7 if they'd have wanted to. Quite easily could have had that in the first half. It wasn't De Gea because De Gea was incredible. I'm sure we'll touch on that in a minute. But I'll read you some stats out, Chris, here because I've acquired some stats over social media over the last day or so while hearing this. So
we do prep this.
we do prep this here, ready. We've had no home clean sheets since Granada in April in the Europa League. The one before that in the league was March. Said, Ollie has also accounted for 21% of all Manchester United's ever Premier League home losses, ever. 21%. Man United have lost 8 matches at home this year in the calendar year for the first time since 1989. Their last 4 games, they've lost 2 and drawn 1. All right, okay, it's been City, Liverpool, Tottenham and Atlanta, but still, they have lost 2 and drawn 1, and that's relegation form, realistically. And I think final one that'll put the nail in the coffin for me is Arsenal were on the set. Arsenal today won against Watford. They are now on the same points as us and were bottom with 0 points a month ago. That is absolutely ridiculous. Surely for me now, he has to go. He's got to go. I mean, I love Ollie. He's a legend. If there's anyone I'd want to succeed at that club, it is him. I've always been Ollie in. If you can find a clip of me ever saying I want Ollie out, or if you've had a conversation with me saying I want rid of Ollie in the last, since he's been here, I'll give you 100 quid because you won't find it. I've always been Ollie in. However, now I think the only option is to part ways. I think we need fresh ideas. We need someone new to come in with new ideas and get motivation out of his players because he can't get it. And and it looks like they're sticking with him until after the international break because there's been no signs of sacking him yet. Do you think they will sack him before long, or do you think he'll get to Watford?
I think what's funny is that since Liverpool beat us, I think 3 managers have been sacked, and none of them's been Ollie, which would have been the obvious one, really. I mean, you look today, Villa have got rid of Dean Smith for losing the last, I think it's 5 games. And Aston Villa, had started okay and just gone on a bad run, and obviously he's done really well with them in recent years. Norwich have obviously sat Daniel Farke. I mean, I think that one's a long time coming, but he's literally just won and then they've binned him. Obviously, the form's just not good enough. I think we're seeing tactically, he's just not up to the standards we need him to be. And can't remember who it was. I think it might have been leading into the Arsenal game. I think on the TV, somebody was like, "Oh no, I think it was on Match of the Day actually." If your goalkeeper is playing poorly, you drop him. If your right back's playing poorly, you drop him. Why? Has it now become in modern football that it's the same with your manager because they're not really the managers that as they used to be, the more of a head coach, the more dispensable. I think a lot more clubs are buying into that sort of philosophy, and I think I think it's time now where a change is needed because I just don't see where the performance is coming from, because the fact that the only win recently has come against a team who literally sacked the manager the next day or whatever it was, says everything you need to know. And that team, we got a great manager coming, and almost got done by Vitesse in midweek, and then drew 0-0 with Everton today. So they're just a poor side. like you said, Ollie's a legend. He's done a good job to a point, and I think it takes a big, the bigger person would go, okay, right, fair enough. I've done what I can do here, and I'd like to think that Ollie's reaching that point where he's like, I don't think I can do any more now, and I love this club too much to bring it down. Let somebody else come in, because surely in his hearts of hearts, he knows that there's an end point now. He's not going to be the man who's going to carry us forward for 5-10 years. He's just not. He's, as much as I'd like it to be, it's not going to happen. But like you say, it looks as though he could end up staying till the end of the season purely because of the fact that if he's not going to be a case of bring Zidane in right now, you're probably going to have to wait till the end of the season to get somebody in from elsewhere, which looks the likely scenario. Because a lot of the managers we're linked with are in a situation where they're doing decently and they've got something that they might want, a project that they might want to see through till the end of the season, see if they can finish on a high rather than jump ship, unless you're talking somebody who's actually out of a job or, linked with us, but isn't actually pulling up any trees this season. So, yeah, it's a sticky situation. And yeah, I mean, if they're going to make the change, now's the time to do it, because then the manager gets the fortnight. That's ultimately why Norwich and Villa have done it now, made the change so a manager has a a manager can come in, or they've got the fortnight to get the house in order, get him in ready for the next set of fixtures. If United have Ollie after the international break, I'd be very surprised if he's not there till the end of the season, if I'm brutally honest, unless you get whacked 3 games in a row again.
Yeah, but by no means are we saying Ollie's done a bad job, because
Exactly. Yeah.
although he may be doing a bad job right now, he hasn't done a bad job. You look at the squad we had when Mourinho left, which seems a lifetime ago, by the way. It feels like ages ago since Mourinho left. And that squad we had when he went compared to the squad now, all right, that might not be down to Ollie. However, he's brought a lot of that talent through, the youth through, but also brought the United DNA back. And it was a debate I was having with my mate the other day, who was a Spurs fan. It was obviously over the moon that they've got Conte, and he was rubbing it in, going, "We took your manager, we won." I think the quote he said is, "You won the battle, we won the war." And I said to him, actually, no. I said, because I don't think I'd want Conte. And we've said that again. We've said that on this podcast for the last 3 weeks, I think now. And it's because Ollie's brought the DNA back to United. All right, we might not be winning. And that's what he was saying. He goes, what is your DNA losing? I said, no. But our DNA isn't 3 at the back. And our DNA is attacking football. And all right, we might not be playing the best football at the moment. He's still brought the youth through and the product through that United would have had through in the past. He's not getting it right just yet on the pitch. But whether that means a turn for change, I think it does. I think he's just tactically out of his depth, unfortunately. And I hate to say that about Ollie, but he doesn't want to do Arsene Wenger either way. He stays too long and ends up, ruining his legacy. Because if Arsene Wenger had gone when everyone wanted him to go, like the Arsenal fans, I think he'd have gone down as an even bigger legend than he already did. However, he stayed, and then the club ended up turning on him, fans turning on him, and it ruined his legacy. And I don't want that to happen to Ollie, which would be sad if that happened. But like you say, this might be a project. I heard some reports that they wanted to look into it and wanted him to stay, and because it took Fergie 6 years to get it right. And I was thinking, I cannot cope with this for another 4 years.
Modern football doesn't give you 6 years unless you have. We're looking at Klopp. I think he must be pushing 6 years at Liverpool.
He's done 6 years at Liverpool. Yeah,
he had 2 years where they were, they were showing signs of becoming, what they are now, and then it started to click. They were winning trophies. If he'd have gone 4 years, 3 years, 4 years without getting those trophies, then yeah, it's a different story. But there was, early signs of improvement. They were, going deep into competitions, getting to finals, winning finals, and that was the key. And that's turned them into the elite force they are now, and they're consistently winning trophies. You know,
Yeah.
Guardiola obviously came in and blitzed it pretty much straight away. But these days, unless you're a club building from mid-table championship and going, we want to be a mid-table Premier League side, but we want to keep the same manager going through, then yeah, that might be the case. With the exception of Sean Dyche, I don't think there's anybody been and Klopp and Guardiola. I don't think anybody's. The average lifespan of a manager now is 2 seasons, isn't it?
Probably is. Yeah.
So, yeah, 6 years is a.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Watford next after the international break. So the international break now, which, as I said, I thought might be a decent time for Ollie to, if they were going to stack him, like you say, to get rid and then have someone else come in and work with a squad that isn't on international games and then take them over. But it looks like, well, from what we've seen so far, the game was yesterday and there's been no updates on his job as of yet. But yeah, we've got the international break and then Watford away after that. How do you think we'll fare in that? Because I know that's obviously it's 2 weeks away, so it's a long, long way to even predict anything. Because on international break, Pogba and Ronaldo and Bruno could all break their legs for the retrospective international teams. Let's hope that doesn't happen at all. Because if that does happen, then we are royally screwed. We actually are. We may as well just give up now. Although I'm not going to say that actually. Never mind. About Paul Pogba.
To be fair, I was thinking I wouldn't mind Pogba pulling his hamstring.
I know. I'm not gonna say that. No, we're not. But yes. So I mean, if they don't win there, surely. I mean, we said it against City, but surely that has got to be it because Watford have lost their last 2, but in the last 3 they beat Everton 5-2, of course, which is a great result. But they lost to Southampton and they lost to Arsenal today. Surely, if we lose that, surely that means he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I watched the Arsenal Watford game and I thought Watford were half decent.
Yeah, so did I actually. Yeah, they were decent, weren't they? They were good.
I mean, the goal that Arsenal got shouldn't have actually stood. A bit of unsportsmanlike play from Arsenal. Just watch it on Match of the Day, folks. And yeah, I mean, they're a team who, I mean, Watford will probably be disappointed that there's a international break because they would fancy playing United on like Tuesday night or something because they'd beat us, frankly, because we're at rock bottom. They'll have all the things that I said we didn't have. The spirit, the energy. Ranieri will get the players running around like they want it. If United don't do that, they get beat by anybody because if you work harder, 9 times out of 10, you put yourself in a position to get the result. We've seen, literally just finishing 10, 15 minutes ago, St Albans have beaten Forest Green in the FA Cup because they've worked tirelessly, and they've made up the 2 divisions because they worked. They know they don't have the quality, but they work hard. So they've worked hard and got a result. Watford will know if they work hard against this Manchester United side, they've got a chance because if United don't work hard, they're going to give Watford the chances. Obviously, we'll have 2 weeks to work out what system we're going to play. Surely we're not going to play 5 at the back against Watford. It'd be Dave.
Probably not.
Gee whiz. I mean, I'd like to think Cavani and Ronaldo, if they're fit, could be options because I'd love to see for without sounding like Mike Bassett here, let's play 4-4-2 or some a variation of it. Ronaldo, Cavani, Greenwood, Rashford, and Fernandes. If you could get those into a team and have a defensive structure, we'll beat the likes of Watford because we'll have too much quality. If we have that work ethic, I think Cavani, naturally runs around, don't they? And brings that work ethic, and I think that would drive the team on. People say Ronaldo doesn't necessarily, he wasn't pressing against City. The man's 36 playing up front on his own, and nobody's helping him. You can't do a one-man press. You have to all press, or at least groups of 2 and 3. And at least Cavani's a trigger point for that. We've got to sort the midfield issue out. Give Van der Beek a go. He came on and at least he tried to pass it forward. I know we give it away and City nearly scored, but at least he tried to pass it forward. But yeah,
I'm gonna have to intervene there, Chris, because I have got honestly, I like Van der Beek and he seems a decent player. However, I disagree with this hype around him. I hate it. I cannot stand it. He came on at the weekend, did a roulette in his own half, and everyone said he was man of the match. I just don't get it. I love the support for him, and I think that when he came on, the cheer and when he was warming up and the chanting his name, brilliant, because that's going to do his confidence a world of good, especially when he's not getting game time, and then so when he does come on, he's more likely to have a decent game. I think it's unfair for the lad that he's getting 13 minutes at the end of a game when we're 2-0 down in a derby, the fans are booing and we're playing terribly, because that's just unfair on the kid. But I just don't get it.
He's not done anything when he has played to warrant it.
He's had one half-decent game for us, and that has been it. I know he obviously hasn't got the minutes, but he's been outflashed when he's already played well with that Ajax team, but I don't know. He's been outflashed when he's played for us. I personally, I don't get it. I think me and my dad got it hit the nail on the head when we were talking. We think what it is the fans are just clamoring on for a hero and someone's like a saviour, like we did with Januzaj under Moyes. And all right, Januzaj was an half-decent player, but I think it's a very similar comparison to what we're like at the moment with Van der Beek. We're just hoping that he can come in and do something. But don't get me wrong, I want the kid to do well and I want the kid to play well, but I just don't get the hype around him at the moment. But yeah, give him a go. Like you say, give him a go because
can't be any worse.
Nah, well, exactly. It's exactly what I was going to say. He can't be any worse. But I still don't know what type of midfielder he is, to be honest with you. To be quite frank with you, I
don't know what sort of midfield we have in general.
Well, what system do we play? Yeah,
I mean, McTominay has looked like he's struggling more because he's getting exposed. He's getting a lot of flack, but if you're exposed in that midfield, even if you're, one of the greats, you're going to struggle because you've got no support in there because he's basically having to do the job of a couple of players in that current system because, especially at the weekend, because there was, City played with no striker and, the false nine was everybody. So the back three had nobody to mark. So ultimately, McTominay was having to mark about 6 players because Fred just kept losing his man, and it was an unforgiving job for him. And it's getting to a point where that midfield just needs overhauling, and somebody coming in to help. So apologies, my cat's just jumped there.
I'll tell you what, can we talk about the cat? Because that'd be,
I'll tilt the camera. Hello.
Oh, bless her.
Bless him. She don't like me picking her up, so she might have to stay.
Put her in midfield.
Do you want to go in midfield? Do you want McTominay? Or do you prefer Fred?
Neither. That's the answer, is neither.
Yeah. She'd do a better job, show more energy and willingness to run. But other than potentially having a cat in midfield, we had a cat in the goal for a nice little segue there.
Yeah, nice little segue. Yeah, Day was brilliant, wasn't he? Yeah. It was unreal.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the video of him walking off the pitch and thumping the tunnel, thinking he was like Rocky or something because, crikey, he was overworked. I mean, second goal, he'll be disappointed with that. He's flaunted it a little bit, but he's made 3-4 good saves, 2 of which are worldies. Again, come on, he's not getting any protection there, so it's such a difficult job for him. And
Shaw was at fault
his profession.
Shaw was at fault for that goal, I think, because he just stood and watched him. Yeah,
and I think that the frustration. Cat went for me then. This podcast has taken a real strange turn.
I mean, at least it's an entertaining watch.
I mean, he's had no protection there as De Gea, so the frustration is bound to boil over. And I was quite glad to see that sort of reaction. I wish more players in the team showed that passion
same.
and frustration. None, because he looks like he cares.
Yeah.
Maguire shouldn't be captain. That's a different point.
Do you know what? I was just going to come on to that. I was going to say he's been slated on Twitter, and for me, he just whenever we go down, he just sits there, or studs there, slumped. And I think, obviously the obvious one is Ronaldo, but Ronaldo is a leader without. He doesn't need to be captain to be a leader in that dressing room, and I think that's why we always said that with Maguire. We said Maguire needs the captaincy to be a leader, but I don't think he is. I don't think even with that captaincy as a leader. I think you give it to Bruno personally, and I think Ronaldo is then he's understudy for him.
Yeah,
that's what I do personally.
Yeah, and I think De Gea would be a candidate because I think he's shown the passion that is required. But yeah, Maguire is just too timid for me to be captain. He's proved it recent weeks. Don't think he's been particularly enlightening in his post-match interviews either, and hasn't done any favors in that regard. So I think potentially change there might be good. I mean, obviously we've heard the stories that it might be a bit of a dispute in the changing rooms about who should be captain. Is that such a bad thing?
No,
because I mean, you don't want that unrest in the dressing room, but sometimes you have to. You need that to then bring them together. I'm sure there'd been disagreements when you had the real personality of your Cantonas, your Keanes, etc. in the dressing room. I'm sure they weren't best mates all the time. You hear all the stories about Roy Keane and Peter Schmeichel fighting on tours and whatnot. So, but that team won everything. Sometimes you do need that tension in the dressing room sometimes. But it can help bring you together. So hopefully, something will give, and it's maybe a chance for Maguire to show his leadership now, and prove he should be captain, because right now he shouldn't be, but he might get a chance now to prove. Go, you know what? Actually, no, lads, we need to pull together here. Bang a few egg, and to not, metaphorically, not physically, of course, and just rattle a few cages and just get players actually going. You know what? Actually, we respect this guy now. He cares. He wants to set an example. The example he's setting right now isn't a good one, so he needs to raise his game. Ultimately, he should know that. I think the players do know they're not performing. But they've got to change it somehow. It's where that change comes from, and to me, it's got to come from the manager, and he's got a big job now. Agreed.
Right. Well, we'll leave it there, Chris, because again, we'd be repeating ourselves from other weeks, and I can't. It's just tiresome talking about who we think should take over. Now Conte's not on the market. It's either Ten Hag or Zidane and Rodgers. I think they're the three you either
Rodgers
get.
Rodgers is 11-10. I think I screenshotted it.
It was evens last night when I checked.
Yeah, I did a screenshot it.
I'd take Rodgers. I'd have Rodgers. Although I did see a tweet that said Mancini was on the short list.
Oh, we've discussed that before, haven't we? I mean, the short list is getting shorter by the week, so we might have to act quick.
I'm going to say, they need to act quick or someone else will get him. But yes, Chris, thank you for joining us per usual. It's been a pleasure. Whether we'll be back next week, I'm not sure because of the international break. But if we aren't, we'll be back when United play. We're reviewing the United-Watford game because obviously we previewed it on this, so we'll be back after the United-Watford game. But yeah, thank you for joining me, Chris, as per usual. It's been a pleasure. Make sure you check out all the content that goes on local TV as per usual. Not just the Manchester TV. There's other local TV channels that it gets put out on, like your Leeds, your Bristol, your Birmingham, etc. and so forth. You will have a local TV channel in your area. You should do anyway. But yes, thank you all for joining, and goodbye.